Friday, March 21st, I will be doing a live stream on this channel showing off the recently released Sonic Unleashed PC recompilation using my legally owned copy of my Xbox 360 version of Sonic Unleashed. So stay tuned, March 21st, live stream on this channel. I'll see you there. There's a lot of projects happening behind the scenes, and I'm excited to tell you guys about them when there's more stuff to announce. But in the meantime, the Sonic Racing series has been in existence since the mid-90s, starting on the Sega Game Gear with Sonic Drift 1 and follow-up Sonic Drift 2. Everyone's first impressions of this was Sonic the Hedgehog. What's he known for? Running. Not just running, but running fast. Faster than cars. Why the fuck is Sonic in a car? Yeah, it's a very reasonable, very justified question, and to answer it simply, it's because, well, Mario did it first in the early 90s on the Super Nintendo with Super Mario Kart. Following Sonic Drift for the Sega Saturn, we had Sonic R, the R just standing for racing, so essentially just Sonic Racing. This was conceptually the closest and most true to what actual classic Sonic was, because it was on-foot racing. It was also the first fully quote-unquote 3D Sonic experience you can get at the time. Everyone had their own special attributes, like Sonic was able to double jump, Knuckles was able to glide, Tails could fly, but a humongous oversight of Sonic R was the fact that every character was so different from one another that it was incredibly difficult to fine-tune how the characters balance between one another, and there were clearly better picks than others, especially when you got all the Chaos Emeralds and you unlocked Super Sonic, who just had all of his stats maxed out. Sega then looked at Sonic R and realized, well, we can't really fix this, even though they totally could have, they just chose not to for some reason, and they decided to completely scrap on-foot racing. Fast forward to Sonic's 15th anniversary, and I'm sure that a lot of Sonic fans heard the phrase 15-year anniversary and just kind of shit themselves in silence. 2006 was definitely a year for Sonic the Hedgehog. There was Sonic 06, a remake of Sonic the Hedgehog 1 titled Sonic Genesis for the Game Boy Advance, and I wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole. But the best thing to come out of Sonic's 15th anniversary was Sonic Riders. The original Sonic Riders had its fans. Personally, I wasn't really one of them. I wasn't a huge fan of how Sonic Riders mechanics worked until at least the follow-up, Sonic Riders Zero Gravity, which was only a couple of years later. Hey, this is Zach from the future, wanting to bring reference to something I forgot to mention in the initial recording, being the Sonic Rivals series for the PSP. I'm a little bit surprised I forgot to bring this up, because these were actually some of my favorite handheld games at the time. These were on-foot racing games, so kind of similar to what Sonic R established, but at the same time, these played much closer to what, say, the standard split-screen multiplayer versus mode was in Sonic the Hedgehog 2, where it was just getting from the beginning of the stage to the end of the stage, not necessarily a 3-lap racetrack, if you get my drift. There was an attempted story mode that was a little bit interesting, at least in the second game. I thought it was a little weird having, Dr. Eggman on the hunt for turning people and things into cards. Okay, thought that was a little strange, but I guess standard Dr. Eggman weird shit. I will say it's a bit of a shame that a lot of people don't really know about these two games, because honestly, I really did enjoy them. The voice acting was pretty great in the games, the story was at the very least interesting, and the gameplay was pretty smooth.
Not so fast! What do you want with Knuckles and Rouge? And why are you with Metal Sonic? I've got no time to explain it to you. Guess I'll just have to knock you up.
Following Sonic Riders Zero Gravity in 2008, 2 years later was Sonic Free Riders in 2010, and you'll be searching a long while to find people that truly enjoy, at least natively, playing this game. Sonic Free Riders was exclusive to playing with the Kinect on Xbox 360. If you wanted to play Sonic Free Riders, you needed to control the game using your entire body for everything. Steering, item usage, jumping. To this day, I blame Sonic Free Riders for why I have clicky knees. But 2010 was not exclusive to Sonic Free Riders. It seemed like they were actively transitioning away from the Sonic Riders formula, and they decided to go back to the kart racing formula, because that just seemed to be the most opening to the general audience and the most easiest to grasp. Prompting Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing. Sega's attempt of making a Mario Kart killer while also reminding everybody that Sega doesn't just make Sonic games. Now technically Sega All-Stars Racing isn't the first of the Sega All-Stars line. There was also Sega Superstars Tennis that precedes All-Stars Racing by a couple of years as well. I remember playing this game at a friend's house on the Wii all the frickin' time. We played this more than Mario Kart Wii at the time. I absolutely loved Sega All-Stars Racing. But 2 years after that, we got Sonic and All-Stars Racing transformed. Seemed like that Sega All-Stars moniker was very quickly scrapped because everyone just said, hey, it's the Sonic Racing game, I guess. They also began to incorporate characters like Danica Patrick, Wreck-It Ralph. Yeah, I didn't really understand the introduction of a lot of those characters that they incorporated. But All-Stars Racing Transformed was a natural progression of the All-Stars Racing formula in every way imaginable. It was fantastic. It was also a direct answer to 2011's Mario Kart 7. Mario Kart 7 introduced adapting karts, like you can form a glider once you take the sky, or when you go underwater, you form a propeller. We then reached a period where Sonic Racing kind of just had a long drought. We didn't see anything afterwards. And in 2014, people were kind of expecting a new addition to the Sonic Racing series because, well, at that time, we were kind of used to every 2 years a new Sonic-related racing game would come out. But no, we had to wait 7 years later until 2019 when Sumo Digital returned for Team Sonic Racing. Team Sonic Racing was both a step forward and a step back. Actually, more accurately, it was 1 step forward, 2 steps back. You were in teams of 3, like Team Sonic, for example, was Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, or you could have Team Dark of Shadow, Rouge, and Omega. The entire point of the game was to compete in Grand Prix and see which average team score would level up higher against other teams. The mechanics went a lot deeper than just teams stacking points against one another as well. There was also the slingshot mechanic. Whoever was leading the race on your team would leave a trail behind them, and your teammates could go on said trail and then get a speed boost, slingshotting them ahead in the race. Teammates were also able to share items with each other, as well as coordinate when to time your ultimate abilities. Team Sonic Racing was perfectly fine at the time. I didn't think it was as great as Sonic and Racing Transformed. It definitely took a lot of things away and didn't give us enough back in return, but it was passable. Fast forward to right now, the 2024 Game Awards. Sega decided to give a teaser of a new game, Sonic Racing CrossWorlds. When this was first revealed at the Game Awards, I just shrugged and was like, why did they even announce this? Not even 2 months had gone by since the release of Sonic X Shadow Generations, which was a phenomenal release, and you should totally play it if you haven't already. Just like how if you haven't liked this video and commented down below already, you should totally do that for engagement, by the way. But there was also no substance in this trailer. It was a garage door opening and Shadow with a remote control to start up his car. And a warp ring, I guess. But that didn't tell anybody anything about the game. It wasn't until the most recent Sony State of Play that we got to see actual gameplay of Sonic Racing CrossWorlds. And I gotta tell you, this game, right out of the gate, looked really sick. Animation seemed incredibly fluid. It's running on Unreal Engine 5, which is awesome. And to my surprise, and probably everyone else's as well, they revealed that there's Extreme Gear from Sonic Riders, as well as the characters from that series, like Jet the Hawk and Storm the Albatross. This game looked like it was going to have depth, and it was going to be at least fairly competitive and have somewhat of a skill ceiling. And they capped all of that off with announcing they were doing a closed network beta that following weekend, exclusive to the PlayStation 5. I was not in town, however, during this weekend. I was visiting a friend up in North Carolina, which was way better of a time than you can ever have with this blue asshole. As a follower of the franchise since the mid-2000s, it's just really great to see that Sega and Sonic Team have just become so much more confident with their games and their marketing and their transparency behind it as well. They said throughout so many times during the trailer that yes, this is actively in development. And when you play this beta, things are going to break. There are going to be glitches because this game's not finished yet. If anything, the items are just really jank right now and they're way too overpowered. Additionally, Extreme Gear were not playable during this beta. And it seems like they're taking a step in the right direction, bringing back the transforming vehicles. We've got the water jet skis and we've got the aerial jets. But that's not all. The main gimmick of this game is better than anything Team Sonic Racing ever tried to do. What CrossWorlds intends to be is just mixing and mashing different zones from Sonic into one conjoined race. It makes the racing lines, at least for the second lap of every race, not necessarily unpredictable, but at the same time, you can't really anticipate what the next lap is going to be like in terms of racing lines because, well, not until the end of the first lap you're going to know what the second lap's going to be, whether it's going to be the same place or a completely different dimension. But man, I am so excited for a new Sonic racing game. In my honest opinion, I would have killed for something to go back to what Sonic R started back on the Sega Saturn. I think that's where Sonic really shines. It's what Sonic is at the end of the day. And I think if they went back and polished it, that's what they could really accomplish. But if they want to stick with the kart racing direction, I'm perfectly fine with this. And they're bringing back Extreme Gear as well, because that's an aesthetic I absolutely loved out of Sonic Riders. What I really want to know is your guys' thoughts on the Sonic Racing series, whether or not you guys are going to be getting Sonic Racing CrossWorlds or not. Let me know down below. Did you even participate in the closed beta or not? I would love to know your thoughts on that. The next time that there's a closed beta, I am for sure going to be giving it a shot, and I'll be playing it at launch as well. Who knows, if it drops on a Friday, you got a place you can tune in for live streams now. But that's all I've got for today, guys. If you enjoyed this, please leave a like. If you disliked it, leave a like anyway. Yeah, that's all I've got for today. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you next time. Peace out.